Hello everybody! I'm going to do something a little different today. This is kind of a one-off video that I think might be kind of fun for some people who have similar interests as I do. One thing that I really like that I don't get to share very much on this channel just because I feel like it's unrelated to the already very diverse palette of stuff that we have on here. I love music, and I've actually quite a big record collection. Yeah, so I don't talk about music too much on the channel, but I do have a music podcast, and I'll put a link to that just below. It's Music A to Z podcast, where we talk about one band at a time with each letter through the alphabet. One way that music can be kind of related to this channel is that I have a lot of video game soundtracks on vinyl. And I actually didn't know how many I had, but now that I've pulled them all out, it's actually a fairly big collection here, so show off some of these. Yeah, see, like this isn't even the whole stack. I had to separate the stack. It's actually pretty big, so we'll see how long this video might take a little while to shoot. We'll see. I thought this would be pretty cool for anyone who's interested in video game music, just to have a look through, and I'll also put for what is still available some links in the comments so you can get your own copy if you really want to. One of the things I love about today is because records have become kind of a big thing again, things that are getting pressed on vinyl that you would never have expected in the 90s or even the 2000s. Basically anything in this video, if you told me that they'd press these soundtracks onto vinyl when I was playing games in like 2001 or 1999 or whatever, I would have been like, what, really? It just would have blown my mind. I guess we should just get started. I'm going to go alphabetically because that seems like the most logical thing to do. But first, I think I'm going to also, do a quick pose for a thumbnail here. Let's see. Okay, so let's start with this one. Alien Soldier from, I think it was Data Records. The Alien Soldier vinyl is a very cool piece for collectors. This is a very niche game. It's kind of gained quite a bit of popularity in recent years because it's been ported to so many modern consoles. But for a while, this was a deep cut because it didn't have a proper North American release. But now it's got such a cool cult following. And it's made its way onto a lot of like Sega compilations and stuff like that. So, it's got a little bit of extra artwork, which you gotta love, and the records themselves are a cool gray color. So, anyway, I think that this is very cool. I do sincerely appreciate Data Records for putting that together. Data Records has a pretty good relationship with Treasure, who are the developers of Alien Soldier. So there's actually quite a few of their games that have soundtracks, but this is I think the only one that I've got through them. You may have seen this one in the videos that we have on our set for Beast Machines Monday and such. This is the vinyl copy of the Angry Video Game Nerd video game 1 and 2 Deluxe. And I'm pretty sure you can still get these through Screenwave Media, although this one also says ship to shore, which is interesting. I got it through Screenwave. But yeah, it's for any fans of the Angry Video Game Nerd who, if you don't know, I mean, chances are you know him more than you know me. But if you don't, he is a classic YouTube content creator. Yeah, he's been making films about video games since 2004. Like in internet years, he is a senior citizen. Lots of cool artwork in here. And it's a 3 vinyl set. So I think I got it for a pretty good price. There was like a really good sale on. And they're all different colors. They're all like, there's neon pink, orange, and yellow. I love when the records are just like different colors. And just like it's just a little extra emphasis on the artwork, Yeah, the artwork on here is just full of deep cuts. Like all the little tidbits. If you've been watching Angry Video Game Nerd over the years, you get a lot of these references. I actually haven't played the game. I have it. I bought a physical copy, but I actually haven't gotten to playing it. But apparently it's pretty tough, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Next, Super Castlevania. This one I got from Mondo, which prints video game soundtracks and movie soundtracks as well. So I got some cool I got a couple cool movie records from them as well, and you can sort of see some really cool artwork on the inside. So this is specifically the Super Nintendo game, Super Castlevania 4, which that's the one I chose to get because I think they had some other Castlevania things, but that's the one that I really like the soundtrack to that one. Sometimes I gotta be very selective over what I get. Nice dark blue vinyl. It's interesting because you don't always think that there'd be enough music to fill up like 2 records, but there are, depending on the game anyway. So yeah, that one's pretty cool. Super Castlevania 4. This one is a 3-piece, so yeah, this is the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack trilogy. So video game number 1, number 2, number 3. Now these aren't official Nintendo releases, although they are properly licensed, so I don't get any bootlegs or anything like that. So these are legal, but they're not a Nintendo release. Licensed content, little thing there. So Jammin' Sam Miller is the guy who made these, and basically he used, let's see if I can, using hex SP data crudely converted to MIDI, Jammin' Sam Miller painstakingly recreated the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack note by note by finding the original equipment used to create it, translating the MIDI into a modern studio context, adding in keyboard samples and remixing the sounds with added effects and mastering. For the most part, okay, they all a couple records each, but for the most part, there we go. See, now, of course, it's banana yellow. Of course it is. This sounds remarkably like it's coming out of a Super Nintendo. Like, it's very impressive. It is just like the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack. So I feel like I don't need to hunt down a copy of like an official Nintendo release because this really just sounds like what I'm looking for. But there's a few tracks I think that you can hear the difference. This one, I don't know why they went with this color green. Look at this thing. I call it booger green. It's just the nastiest green color. I don't know why they went with that. Other than I think, you know, there's a kind of a piratey, like there's a bit of a swampy feel to Donkey Kong Country 2. Like there's a lot of swamps and stuff like that, so that might be why they go with that color. But it's not a great visually pleasing color. But you know, but there was thought there. And this one's a really nice blue actually. This is a nice, gentle, kind of not quite a sky blue, like a little bit of a baby blue. For number baby blue. Because Kitty Kong's a baby. There you go. Look at me figuring things out. Anyway. So these are quite awesome. I like these a lot. And they really do sound just like the real thing. So it's exactly what I would have wanted. So there's Donkey Kong. Actually, this one should have been done before Donkey Kong, but apparently I had things in the wrong order, so that'll happen sometimes. Or I can just edit this before it. We'll see what happens. This is a cool one. I just kind of sought this out because I saw it on Instagram. Devil's Crush and Alien Crush for the TurboGrafx 16. I just saw it and I was like, that would be cool to have. It's so niche. It's such a deep cut. You wouldn't think that they'd put it onto vinyl. But here it is. Devil's Crush is side A, as is Alien Crush, so clearly there's not tons of music in these games because they fill that whole side with both games. And then there's a little bonus at the back. You don't see it on the front, but at the back it's Star Soldier, which I guess is by the same developer. The Star Soldier soundtrack is on side B. I don't have Star Soldier. Actually, I don't have Devil's Crush either, to be honest. But I listened to it, and the soundtrack was pretty cool. This one is a pretty bare bones release. There really wasn't any extra material. The record has this cool like translucent and grayish thing. I don't really understand it, but I think it's a cool look. So yeah, I thought I was going to have a tough time hunting this down. If I had too tough a time, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. If it was very expensive, but I actually just managed to find it for a very normal price. I don't know if you still can, but if I find anything, I'll let you know and put the links down below. Next, this one is one I'm particularly proud of owning. This one is one of the more expensive ones in my collection because of it was a limited pressing and I didn't get to it its initial run, so I did buy this second hand, which is always the most expensive way to go. But I am so happy I have it, and it just fills me with such good feelings when I listen to it. This release is called The DuckTales Afternoon. It's the soundtrack to the DuckTales, the NES game, which is, of course, one of the most renowned soundtracks on the NES. Capcom makes great music in general, but this one is one of the ones that's best known and best remembered, particularly the Moon theme. The Moon theme is credited as one of the best ones, but I honestly I like a lot of the tracks on here. I think it's a lot of really great music. Nothing too special as far as the record goes, it's just a regular black one. I have seen releases with different colors, but this is the one I was able to find for the best possible price, and maybe that's because it's black. That doesn't matter enough to me. I didn't want to spend more just for the colors. I love the Amazon theme, the Transylvania theme. The Moon theme is, of course, a great one. That one's great for actually having sort of the moon theme has a nice emotional level that I think a lot of people really like. But also, I didn't even mention that the second side has the soundtrack to the second DuckTales game. So, yeah, see DuckTales 1 and DuckTales 2. So they managed to fit everything on there. I think that's great. This is a whole little booklet that you can look through. It has a lot of great stuff. It's very coded I don't know, it just feels like the 80s and early 90s to me. Just the way the spaced out and the colors and everything. I love this release. I love it. When I bought it, I was in a particularly good position to buy it, but it isn't going to be accessible for everyone. If you can, if you love video game music, hunt a copy of this down. It's very good. Gimmick has had a resurgence. Just kind of like Alien Soldier. This was very niche. Gimmick was a game that did not have a lot of love when it was released. It wasn't released in North America properly. It was just one of those cases where it was a little too late in the NES's life cycle for people to care too much. But because it's such a great game, it got a reputation, got a cult following, and now it's not only is it out and available on modern platforms, it got a physical release, it got a sequel, a modern sequel, that just came out 2024. That's wild. And Limited Run was pressing copies on vinyl. Actually, again, this is another case where it says Ship to Shore. Did I get this from Ship to Shore or Limited Run? I'd have to check. But the Limited Run had a release and Ship to Shore had a release. I think, now that I think about it, I think I did get this from Ship to Shore. Are they the same? Quite possibly. And that's okay. Whatever makes it easier to get for people. There's an interview with the composer on here, but it's just a little sheet. Of course, we got a beautiful green record of kind of, we'll call it, yeah, so this one's got a little more on the green side, a little more on the yellow there, but we'll say it's Gimmick Green, and Gimmick Green color record. So I am super happy that Gimmick has gotten a second chance at life. I was going to do a repro review show on it, and I still might, but I just don't know if I need to anymore, since I already have half of the review written. But maybe that'll be what I can talk about, is the fact that it's got a second life, and that it's very easy for people to get their hands on now. As for the record, I don't know how easy it is to get your hands on it, so I will, if it is still available in just a regular store, you know where I'm going to put the info. What's next? Oh, of course, here's another collection. This one's funny to me because I'm not a die-hard Gradius fan, but there was a sale on, it just seemed too good to pass. I don't have any regrets about it, but these look so cool. This looks so cool. This is the kind of stuff. When I was a kid, I had folders that had kind of a science fiction-y look to them on the front covers, and I could just stare at those for so long. And this is the kind of artwork that I could just stare at as a kid and just get trapped in it for ages. You know, on the back has a lot of, like, the artwork continues there. So, like, it's, I don't know. I love it. I definitely got these from Ship to Shore. They pressed some video game soundtracks. They clearly had a thing for Gradius. They had a whole bunch of them. This one is translucent, which is pretty cool. That's Gradius 1. Gradius 2. See? I did an episode of the Repo Review show of Gradius 2, and this game is hard as dirt. One thing that's worth mentioning is that these soundtracks, because the Gradius games aren't actually that long, they were smart enough to put different versions on the records. So side A has the NES and Famicom version, side B has the MSX version. Same with this one, the Gradius 2, the Famicom version and the MSX version, both on here. So that's how you use both sides of a record, is you just find different ways. Also completely translucent. That's a nice touch. And then I just had to, because this is the one I originally wanted to get, because this is the soundtrack I like the most, because it's the Super Nintendo Gradius 3. So this is, and actually this one actually unfolds. So you can see the whole artwork right there. And similarly, on the inside, this one's got 2 LPs. So the first LP has the Super Famicom version / Super Nintendo version. Side C and D have the arcade versions, which is pretty cool. So I guess there was no MSX one for that. But still, see, more cool artwork like this, and a whole write-up about Gradius 3 in the back there. Dark Hole, this one's a different color. Yes. Oh man, see? Oh, this is what I'm talking about. Look. Oh, you know, it doesn't look the same on the camera. It's a nice kind of like shiny green. You can see that it's green, but the green. Maybe if I switch it this way, no, it's just the lighting. It's a nice green. It doesn't look great on the camera, but it's a really cool green. So anyway, the Gradius soundtracks, love them. Just love them. They also had Life Force, or in Japan, Salamander. And look at this artwork. This is absolutely hideous. It is just disgusting looking, and I think that's awesome. I just don't know how else to express the fact that I think that this is so disgusting looking and so awesome. So yes, again, just as the first two, the Famicom and the NES versions on side 1, the MSX version is on side 2, and I think, did we have a special color vinyl? I don't know. Yeah, and also again, here you go. In case you wanted to frame it and put it on your wall and disgust everyone. Oh, and this one also translucent. So there you go. This one is Runyu's Tale. This one, if the vinyl is still for sale, is through Mega Cat Studios. They are a publisher of aftermarket games. This one was a game that I helped kickstart for the NES. It is also available on modern platforms. It's just a regular black vinyl, so nothing too much to write home about. This is one that's particularly niche. The Runyu's Tale is not a huge release. It's not a blockbuster game, and it's not a treasured cult release or old school game or anything like that. So, but it's a good game and it's a fun game. I'll put the link to it in down below. But yeah, give it a shot. Again, if you don't have an NES and you don't want to do the whole cartridge or complete in box thing, that's totally cool. But give it a little bit of love. But you can find it very affordably on like the Nintendo eShop. I'm sure maybe some other eShops. I don't know for sure if it's on the PlayStation or Xbox. It might be, but it's definitely on the Nintendo eShop. Alright, this is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, complete edition. So big, when Limited Run was doing a big second run of Scott Pilgrim, because the game, it was one of those cases where the game didn't ever have a physical release. It was put on eShops and it was removed from eShops, and then many years later it got re-released. I don't know if it's still the case, but at the time it was Limited Run Games' most sold game, so it was kind of a big deal. And this is the soundtrack to that game by Anna Managuchi. They even do the soundtrack to that new-ish Scott Pilgrim series on Netflix. Well, I just thought it was it'd be cool to get the vinyl. I got the game as well. This one's got kind of a not the most pleasant orangey yellow. It's not the best, but I don't know. Is that the color of Scott Pilgrim's hair? You know, it's just so perfect. I love Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I love the movie. I really like the game. I'm really liking the Netflix series, and this is a very cool addition to my collection. And look, they're all having a good time here too. Look at that. Anyway, all right, what's next? Sonic Mania. Here we go. This is from Data, the guys who did the Alien Soldier. And they actually did a whole bunch of Sonic soundtracks. But the one that I grabbed was Sonic Mania. I actually wanted to get more. They every now and then they tease and they do a few reprints of other things. Like the one I really want to get is Sonic CD. But unfortunately, every time I look, it is sold out. So I don't know. Maybe one day it'll come my way. But for now, Sonic Mania I think is a pretty good catch. It's just one LP. So, but it's a nice gatefold. Look at the artwork inside. Gotta love that. Gotta go fast. They didn't skip out on the packaging, that's for sure. So there's that side, and then there's that side, and we got a nice shiny Sonic Blue LP. Again, it doesn't quite come across on the camera, but when you have the light on it in a certain way, it looks really nice. So yeah, and I love the Sonic Mania soundtrack. Sonic Mania is just like a terrific game, and really easy to find. So if you haven't played it, you gotta do it. If you like the classic Sonic games, Classic 4, Sonic 2, 3, and Sonic & Knuckles, Sonic Mania, if you love those games, Sonic Mania is like it's the next one in the story, basically. It's just perfect. So anyways, check that out. Here's another couple piece de resistance. Cream of the crop. So, Star Fox. This one I had to hunt down. It was an expensive one, not gonna lie. By the way, this is Star Fox, the Super Nintendo version. I love Star Fox 64, I think, more as a game. But the Super Nintendo soundtrack, I think it beats the Nintendo 64 soundtrack by quite a bit. And it had to, because it was more emphasized. The music was more important in that game. Where in Star Fox 64, when they started implementing the voice acting, the music had to become more of a background player. But in these earlier games, the music was so much more important. And my favorite video game soundtrack, no, that's not accurate. No, my favorite video game soundtrack of all time is Donkey Kong Country. But my favorite piece of video game music, as far as singular track, is probably the Corneria theme on Star Fox. I got a couple of them in here. I'm not even gonna bother taking them out of here. Apparently not supposed to keep records into this material, but until I find something better, it'll have to do. But yeah, we got kind of a light blue color there. And then this one's got kind of a greenish, yellow, slimy kind of look. I think this is like the Corneria Sky, and this is the sort of a Venom color. So this one, when I found out that there was this release, I just wanted it so badly because I just love the Star Fox soundtrack so much. I think it's one of the greatest. Not the easiest to get back in here though. But even cooler. Again, you want to talk about like some cult favorites. This is a different release entirely, like as far as like the company that puts it out. But this is Star Fox 2, the soundtrack to that game. And this one, oddly, you'd think this would be the harder one to find, but I got this first and for way less money than Star Fox 1. And maybe that's because there's less of a demand for it, like just not as many people know and love Star Fox 2. Even though it has seen more modern distribution, it just doesn't have the same, I guess, fan base. Still, nice artwork inside. With Andros there. This is the guide to all the tracks, which is quite a few. And then again, it's got just 2 records, although these ones are just black. And again, I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me. Honestly, like I really dig really dig the artwork on this thing. It's not flashy, but it's interesting. Getting there. Another duology here. I could have gotten the third one, but I was thinking about it, and I still might if I can find it. But as it is, got Streets of Rage and Streets of Rage 2. Anyone who likes video games, and especially the Sega fans, knows that the Streets of Rage soundtracks are great. Although the third one, again, is a little more controversial. Not as many people really like that one. But you gotta admit, it's interesting at the very least. This is also from Data. They just do a bang-up job with these releases. I mean, it comes with a lot of artwork on the inside that you know, is worth checking out. And this one is only on one disc, and it says translucent red. That must be the Rage Red, is what we'll call that one. They're all numbered releases. So this one is 001. I think this is the first release that Data released, and then Streets of Rage 2 is 005. And Alien Soldier is 021, so that one's a little bit more down the road there. I'm glad that they thought that the Streets of Rage soundtrack was worthy of distribution that way. I think it's pretty cool. I don't have the nostalgia factor that some people do. I didn't grow up with the Genesis, and I definitely didn't grow up with Streets of Rage. I don't think if I had a Genesis, that'd be the kind of game my mom would want us to play, because you just go around beating people up, and that's kind of like, you know, it's a little naughty. It's a fun game, you know. I could definitely see why, you know, teenagers may have taken to it in the back of the day. So I got some artwork there, something a little, and this one's a little more artsy. This one, and there's a fold in something or other here. This is a poster. Wow, wow. Love it. They don't skip out on the artwork. They do their best to make it worth your while. And this one is gray, kind of a translucent gray. Are they both sides? Yeah, they're both the same color. And I guess it's like gray, like the street, we'll say. Rage Red for part 1. Street Gray for part 2. Tanglewood, yeah, this is a cool one. Tanglewood is I guess kind of like Ronnie's Tale, an aftermarket game. This one was a homebrew for the Sega Genesis, and it was kind of one of the earlier ones when that was just starting to become a thing. When a lot more, like nowadays, there's so many new games released for the Sega Genesis, but back when Tanglewood came out, it wasn't like the first aftermarket game, but it was one of the more high-profile ones that were, you know, kind of showed off a different side of the console. Tanglewood is a fun game. Look at this. Like, this is beautiful. But the soundtrack it's very special. They do very cool things with the soundtrack. Very atmospheric, and just doesn't sound like the kind of music you would normally have in an action video game. It matches the video game perfectly because the game has this sort of ethereal, kind of dark and slow, and it's very atmospheric. And this soundtrack emphasizes that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge, a hit from just a couple of years ago now. Check all this stuff out. Look at all that. They just give this little guide to what's going on in there. Yeah, I love it. 2 LPs inside, of course, and yeah, it's just a classic beat 'em up, but modern day. You know, like it does everything that you'd want to. Oh yeah, see, just a black vinyl, but that's okay. It does everything that a modern day beat 'em up you'd want to do. It's kind of actually set the new. I feel like it's the new gold standard because there's a lot of other. Ever since Shredder's Revenge came out, there's a lot of other old IPs that are popping up in their beat 'em ups. Like there's a G.I. Joe one. There's a Power Rangers one that just came out. I've heard some mid reviews on the, especially the G.I. Joe one. The Power Rangers one apparently is pretty good. But Shredder's Revenge really started a train of these new beat 'em ups of old shows and stuff like that from the 80s and 90s. But if you want to go back to the real thing, the old school thing, I also got Turtles in Time, and there was enough apparently to put onto 2 LPs. This one is I got from Limited Run. Actually, I think I got the Shredder's Revenge from a Limited Run as well. This is 147 out of 1,000, so there's limited pressings. They were doing a thing every month to release a soundtrack to every classic retro Turtles game. So the NES games as well as the Game Boy games, and of course Turtles Green color. Well, I like a lot of those soundtracks. The one I like the most is Turtles in Time. And, you know, in an ideal world where I have tons of money and tons of space, I would have gotten them all. I just felt I needed to be selective. And so I got Turtles in Time. And I have no regrets about that. This is a great package. There's like a really, actually, like, especially after feeling all of these ones, you know, you don't think much about the texture of the packaging. This one's got a real nice gloss to it. It feels like really good quality. When you order vinyl from Limited Run, oh, look at this cool stuff. It's very glossy and reflective, so I don't know how well this can come out, but actually that's not too bad, I'd say. It doesn't look too bad. You can see what's going on there. Got them in their pirate outfits and cowboy outfits and caveman and spaceman, and you know, if you play Turtles in Time, you know where they go. And it's still hailed as one of the best beat 'em ups of all time. Where was it going with this? If you order from Limited Run, prepare for it to take a long time. I actually didn't want to make this video for a while until I got Turtles in Time because I ordered it like a year ago. But Limited Run will take a while. But can't argue with the results. Got here. I mean, at the end of the day, it did get where it needed to go. I've never been stiffed by them. You just gotta know to be patient. Just gotta be patient. I just read this note on here, actually on the front, that it's the soundtrack to the Super Nintendo version and the arcade version. So the second one is the arcade. This came out when it was announced that they were doing the Cowabunga bundle, the Cowabunga collection. For the modern consoles, where they collect all of the Konami games. So all the games that there got their vinyl releases as well. I got the Cowabunga collection. It is again kind of gold standard. Whatever they're doing with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles property, they're doing it very well. This one's a little different. Switched on A Link to the Past. This is the soundtrack to Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Again, although it is licensed content, so this is legal. It's not released by Nintendo. It is by an artist. So this guy's doing Super Nintendo games, or at least I know he's got an Earthbound one, or a Mother one, and A Link to the Past, and I think he's working on a new project too. But this is the expanded edition, or extended edition of The Link to the Past, so this is the one to get. But he basically, I think he re-records the music using analog synthesizers. And it does sound, unlike the DKC ones, it does sound very distinct. It's very different from the music in the game. Like the melodies are the same, of course, but it has a different sound. Maybe here's a little bit right here that you can hear and go, oh, okay. Yeah, so that's what I mean. But at first I thought maybe it sounded a little cheesy, but I actually came to really like it. Once you kind of just get used to it, because you have to change your expectations. You think the soundtrack is going to sound one way, and you just need to release those expectations and just allow it to sound a different way, and then I wound up really liking it. So this one is blue colored, although I do know that it came out. It was released in different colors. There were 3 different colors to kind of represent the 3 sides of the Triforce. I went for blue, or actually I don't remember if I had a choice, but I got blue, and I think it looks really good, so I'm not complaining. All right, last one, Zero Wing. This is Total Plan. Got this from Limited Run Games as well. I think this is the thing that took the longest to get to me out of anything I've ever ordered there. But I've said it before. I still got it. So Zero Wing, this again, it just absolutely horrendous, hideous cover art, but also amazing. So Zero Wing is the All Your Base Are Belong to Us game. For those of you who are familiar with that meme, it's got a cool purple look to it. This was released along with a bunch of other soundtracks around the time that the Total Plan collection. The Total Plan Shooter Collection was released. I put a whole video together for that. The video where I mispronounced Total Plan, because I looked at some other videos and they were saying Toplin. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's called that, even though it reads like Toaplan. I released it mispronouncing it, and to this day is one of my biggest regrets. So maybe I'll do a redux of that, because there's supposed to be a second Toaplan shooter collection coming out. So if I make a second video of that, I can pair it with the first one and do a re-record, so I say Toaplan instead of Toplin, and then I can put those demons to rest. Limited run released records of all 4 of those games, but I only got Zero Wing for the same reason I only got the Turtles in Time. I went with the one because I sampled each soundtrack, and I went with the one that I liked the sound of the most, and Zero Wing got that. I think it's a really cool soundtrack, and because shooters, so much of your interest in shooters depends on the soundtrack. If you got a garbage soundtrack for your shooter, don't even bother. There's one more record that I have ordered that I just don't know exactly when it's going to come. Probably sometime within the next few months. That's for a new Sega Genesis game called ZPF, or I guess it's American, we'll say ZPF. So I've ordered a vinyl soundtrack to that. That's my collection as it is in this moment. So yeah, look at this. I mean, just look at this. I didn't, it's just one thing to know I have a pretty good vinyl collection, to put these all together and try to lift them up, and I don't know, that it just kind of put things in perspective, in that I've invested into a really cool record collection. I'm very happy to have a lot of these. There's nothing in here that I really regret getting. But there are a few things I have regretted not getting. So hopefully you liked this video. I'm hoping, it looks like it's actually gonna be looks like it's gonna be a long one, but I hope it's worth it, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. But thanks for taking this very musical journey with me, and we'll see you in the next video. Please, if you love stuff like this, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear some feedback if this is something that you'll want to see more of. Like, I have a bunch of video games. If you want me to give you a little tour of my collection, let me know. Please like the video. That'll help give it some reach. And of course, comment and subscribe. This has been a good year so far for the channel, so for all you new faces, I'd love to see you stick around, and let's bring in more, Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.